Can I get a 5x5 or what? Anybody? Lima Charlie, Caliber Collector 11. Thank you. Good morning. It is the 16th of July, 2025. Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Show is brought to you by said Lord, Yahweh Elohim, creator of the heavens and the earth, the Lord your God. It's also brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Link is in the description, I think. If not, go to Patreon, search for Bear Independent. And, I'm so good at professionally shilling, I don't even know where my Patreon link is. And this little company here called refugemedical.com. Because if you're going to shill for somebody, you might as well shill for yourself, right? Like, I could be selling you some, cheap Chinese survival gear like every other prepper channel out there. But instead, we're going to make stuff in America and espouse the preservation of life, both physical and especially eternal. And if you're not down with that, go ahead and unsubscribe, delete my channel, find something better to do. Go scream into the void. The abyss is for staring into, the void is for screaming into, just so that everybody's clear on this. Let's see here. Taiwan launched its largest ever war games exercise last week, preparing for what many see as an inevitable Chinese invasion. The 10-day Hankuang exercises involve 22,000 reservists, and focus on defending against a kind of communication disruption. Did what directly precede any Chinese attack, a senior defense official told Reuters. They're running from situation in Ukraine recent years and realistically thinking about a Taiwan might have faced in real combat. The exercises include testing new HIMARS rocket systems and Taiwan-developed surface-to-air missiles, showing the island is taking the threat seriously. Oh, very, very serious already. Before the drills, Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson Colonel Zhang Bing dismissed the exercises as nothing but a bluffing and a deceiving a trick, adding, no matter how they perform or what weapon they use, they cannot resist the People's Liberation Army and anti-dependent sword in the historical trend of the motherland's inevitable reunification. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is pushing Japan and Australia to clarify their roles if the U.S. and China go to war over Taiwan. Eldridge Colby, U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, has been pressing Japanese and Australian defense officials in recent months for concrete commitments. As one person familiar with the discussions put it, aka some leaker scumbag somewhere inside of their administration, quote, concrete operational planning and exercises that have direct application to a Taiwan contingency are moving forward with Japan and Australia, end quote. The request has caught both Tokyo and Canberra off guard, Canberra being the capital of Oz, Tokyo being the capital of Japan. Which is crazy, you get a couple of nuclear weapons dropped on you and then all of a sudden you no longer have a firearms culture and that reproductive rate just drops through the floor and they've been mostly effectively neutered. Like the only firearms that exist in Japan are the occasional cop that's armed with more than a stick and the Japanese military. Let's see. The request has caught both Tokyo and Canberra off guard, particularly since, as one source noted, quote, the U.S. itself does not give a blank check guarantee to Taiwan, end quote. The U.S. maintains a policy of strategic ambiguity, not saying definitively whether it would defend the island. Even Trump has refused to commit what he'd do, making it tough to demand clear commitments from allies. Australia's Defence Minister, Pat Conroy, summed up the awkward position on Sunday, refusing to commit Australian troops to any future conflict, saying that decision will be made by the government of the day. We don't engage in hypotheticals. Japan's defense. Now, there is a very large joint training exercise off the coast of Australia right now. 40,000-ish sailors and Marines out there between Japan and Australia and the United States of America, I believe. Don't quote me on this. I'm not as awake and caffeinated as I should be. But it's a very large exercise to which those who are participating in the exercise, are basically just waiting for the Chinese PLAN, which is, you can tell it was named by a Chinese person, the People's Liberation Army Navy. The Army Navy? Or is it the Navy Army? And is it the People's because your people are starving to death? Or is it, could we just call it Xi's Navy? Xi's Navy will be sitting just outside of effective small arms range in their little boats bobbing in the ocean collecting. What are they doing? They're doing EW, electronic warfare, collecting signatures from all of these ships, our ships and our friends' ships, effectively, and observing, seeing what we do and how we do it, what little things like what frequencies are they using, how often are they communicating. Oh, well, there's encrypted radios and they frequency hop and blah, blah. Okay. China reverse engineers everything. They reverse engineered the F-35 and made their own airplane. Okay, they can probably reverse engineer a frequency hopping radio. Hell, I bet there's a bunch of you in the chat right now. They got your Chinese knockoff PEC-15s and Mauls mounted to your rifles right now. Okay, they reverse engineer everything. Japan's defense ministry similarly called it, quote, difficult to answer the hypothetical question of a Taiwan emergency. The pressure extends beyond military commitments to defense spending. Colby has been pushing allies to boost their budgets amid rising concerns about China's threat to Taiwan. The situation is particularly sensitive for Japan, where the push for more spending comes ahead of the upper house elections on July 20th. I said yesterday, I stand by it, the world is broke. And there's this old trope that's rolled out since 1954-ish, maybe it was prior to that, 1950, the report from Iron Mountain, which basically found the best way to stimulate the United States economy in the short term is to continue to have wars. And it predicted that we would have wars in Southeast Asia. Predicted, made it happen or let it happen. And then we had the Korean War, and then obviously the Vietnam debacle, so forth and so on. Other things that were enumerated in the report from Iron Mountain as potential courses of action that could be taken by the United States military-industrial complex in order to continue to sustain the United States economy included such things as unattainable goals, listed as unattainable goals. Space exploration and trips to the moon, and climate change. And here we are. So, whatever. Believe it, don't believe it, that's entirely up to you. But this perpetual war cycle that we've been in, I don't know, 236 over 249 years of existence. The problem with a perpetual war cycle is it requires a strong economy. However, war has been rolled out since post-World War II as a way to strengthen the economy. And so when you are engaged in something, it requires a heavy lift from the domestic economy, like warfare, but the domestic economy isn't doing so hot, then you get dudes like Jerome Powell who are like, we'll just print more money in order to satisfy the requirements of Congress and the Department of Defense, which then deflates the value of the US dollar, which weakens the economy, and the people inside of the economy here domestically that are supposed to be producing the inputs for the war half a world away, and next thing you know, you're spiraling the drain. And here we are, spiraling the drain. Everybody who's in the chat, good morning. You know, it's Wednesday, isn't it? Lamppost, I see you in the chat. We didn't even coordinate this morning. Did you text me? My phone's on Do Not Disturb. You might have. That's a me problem. It's probably my fault. Let's look. Nope. It's an us fault. It's an us problem. Kimmy says, hi, Bear. Hi, Kimmy. Good morning. Speaking of the world's broke, over here from RT, RussiaToday.com. Yes, I know, Russian propaganda. It's all propaganda. It's amazing. Like, people go, that's Russian propaganda. Oh, what do you watch? Fox News, MSNBC, Drudge Report? It's all propaganda. You're a Rachel Maddow fan? It's all propaganda. Just consider the source. From RT, Italy won't buy U.S. arms for Ukraine. Huh. The funds that Rome could allocate are practically non-existent, according to La Stampa's sources. Italy's budget doesn't allow it to participate in U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to supply American arms to Ukraine, the Italian newspaper La Stampa reports, citing anonymous sources. On Monday, Trump authorized new weapons deliveries to Ukraine, given that European NATO members provided the funding, calling it it's a very big deal. This deal's tremendous. It's gigantic. Very, very big. La Stampa said in an article on Wednesday that the strategy of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who is, remember when it used to be Olaf Scholz, but now it's Friedrich Merz? And remember when Merz was on a train with Keir Starmer after having recently met Zelensky, and they appeared to be coked up like a bunch of college frat boys? Yeah, remember that? So, what was that, 6 weeks ago? Little trip to Ukraine, a little Columbia marching powder, and now here we are. Yup, sure, we'll take German economy money from Germans who already have an exorbitantly high taxation rate, and we'll use that instead of propping up the German economy. We'll use it to perpetuate war in Ukraine. Sounds like a deal was made, doesn't it? La Stampa said in an article on Wednesday that the strategy of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who has already agreed to purchase several Patriot surface-to-air missile systems for Ukraine, quote, will not be pursued by Italy. Now, Trump has said that Ukraine is getting 17 Patriots. That has confused the Ukrainians, or at least some generals within the Ukrainian military hierarchy, because they don't know if that means Patriot missile batteries, like the launchers and everything, or just the missiles. The missile battery costs about $1 billion each. That's with a B. Bravo. $1 billion each. Each missile is like $3.5 to $4 million. So, you know, listen, I'd buy some Raytheon stock. I'd buy some Lockheed Martin stock, like General Dynamics. It's looking pretty good for those guys. So $1 billion per battery, $3.5 to $4 million per missile. And so the Ukrainian generals are like, are we getting 17 more missiles or are we getting 17 more batteries? And it's batteries is what it is. There's currently approximately 10 batteries in Ukraine, most of which are deployed around the capital, Kyiv, 2 of which are being refurbished right now. And so this would basically increase the number of batteries that they already have by about 250-300%. It's so significant. As long as the Europeans pay for them, because the Americans are out of money. Also, the interceptor missiles, $3.5 to $4 million a piece. The United States, has a dwindling stockpile of those, and so the manufacturer will have to make more of them. And Germany is saying, sure, we'll give you billions of dollars worth of missile launchers and missiles. Italy's saying, no, we don't have the money for that. According to the paper's sources, Rome will be opting out of the scheme, quote, not only because our weapon systems already handed over to Kyiv have other technological configurations, but above all else because, unlike Germany, the budget that Italy can allocate to such an operation is practically non-existent. The only other arms purchase from the U.S. currently planned by Italy is the delivery of a batch of F-35 fighter jets scheduled to begin in the 2030s. Blah, blah, blah. The same day, Czech Prime Minister Peter Fiala told Publico outlet that Prague is also currently not considering joining the initiative. The country is, quote, focusing on other ways to help Ukraine, he explained. Like, remember when this whole thing kicked off and, like, Germany sent a bunch of, like, you know, class 3 body armor, like, suitable for stopping, like, handgun, or class 2 body armor, handgun rounds, and, like, old helmets from the Cold War. Remember that? Basically, they just, like, went into, like, the police stations and found crates of old stuff and was like, yeah, send that to Ukraine, that'll help. And but they've been ramping up their rhetoric and their support as well. Over the last 3 years. This has been going on for 3 years. Buy chickens, says Strecker Kid. Amen. Yeah, buy chickens. I made a comment several times on the brief, which some of y'all have pushed back on because you don't have the internet and don't have the ability to go to www.google.com. Don't use Google, okay, or DuckDuckGo, Bing, Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, whatever you're into. There's a little thing called OSINT, Open Source Intelligence, which is basically, in today's day and age, Googling stuff. It can go way deeper than that. But I just wanted to show you here. Just Googled U.S. Special Forces in Ukraine 2014. And here's their AI overview. We're going to go deeper than this in a minute, though. In 2014, U.S. Special Operations Forces, SOF, were involved in training Ukrainian special forces, primarily focusing on developing their capabilities and counter Russian disinformation. This training included skills development, organizational structure improvements, and support for Ukrainian SOF units. Now, that sounds like, it reads like, yeah, they were there in 2014, but they're not still there. Okay, cool. Well, stand by. Literally, the first article underneath here is U.S. SOCOM, Special Operations Command, has history with Ukraine Special Forces. Because Ukraine didn't have special forces until our SOF units went over there and developed their SOF units. In May and June 2014, Ukrainian Special Forces, along with regular Army and National Guard units, participated in the First Battle of Mariupol, attempting to regain control of the city from Russian separatists, according to Wikipedia. You can't believe Wikipedia. You definitely can't believe everything on Wikipedia. So, bearing that in mind, that sounds like that's a thing that happened once in 2014. So let's go over here to AFAorg, special and just Googling, written by Kimberly Underwood, February 12th, 2025, 5 months ago. Special Operations Forces effectively pivot their warfighting. The approach evolved through their support of Ukraine. How interesting. To advise, assist, and accompany the Special Operations Forces of Ukraine, the U.S. Special Operations Forces, specifically the 10th Special Forces Group, has had to change their warfighting mindset, approach to technology integration, talent management, and communication. Well-versed after 24 years of fighting the global war on terrorism, being deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, and other locations, 10th Special Forces Group saw quickly that it had to pivot to support Ukraine, and Command Sergeant Major Kevin Dorsch, USA, Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Special Operations Commander North at Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado, Sergeant Major Dustin Kirchhofer, USA, J3 Operations SOC North, etc., etc. Special Forces leaders spoke at AFAorg Rocky Mountain Cyberspace Symposium 2025 on February 12th. We were forced to evolve, etc., etc. Let's see. Special operations groups are used to being boots on the ground, working with partner nations shoulder to shoulder like they did in the Middle East, Dorsch explained. And since 2014 to 2015, the U.S. military has had a constant presence in Ukraine, especially in the Donbas region. U.S. Special Operations Forces have even started Ukraine's Special Forces Qualification course, or Q course. So the relationship was on good, solid ground, said Dorsch. Now, this is not taking anything away from our green-hatted friends. This is simply illustrating the point that the idea that February 24th, 2022, this whole thing just kicked off is inaccurate. Okay? We, the United States, have been knowing that this has been coming for more than a decade. And were there SOF units there? Yeah. SOF encompasses SF, Special Forces. Who else happened to be there? Well, if SOF's there, we can assume that Civil Affairs is there. And so what are they doing? Winning hearts and minds. If CA, Civil Affairs, is there, who else is going to be there? Probably the CIA, to say nothing of the State Department, which is just a bunch of spies in suits, etc., 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 etc. So there's an argument to be made that what we are experiencing right now in Ukraine is the result of a decade-long campaign for regime change, not just in Ukraine, but also in Russia. Yeah. There's also one other phrase in here that I wanted to pull out, if I can find it. Ah, there it is. There it is. I want to read this to you from the commander of SOC North, Command Sergeant Major Kevin P. Dorsch, USA. Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Special Operations Command North. It is any type of communications, whether that's to a drone, to another person, to an entity, to a satellite, he said. All those things are something that you really have to take a hard look at when facing a near peer. Bohm emphasized the U.S. warfighter really needs to take a look at everything that emits a frequency and understand the risks. There's a video that I put out on Patreon called Emanation versus Decimation. I got a fair bit of pushback on that from people. Well, there's terrain masking, and you can do this, and you can do that. Well, you can do lots of things, but I can tell you doing OPFOR for SEALs in their land warfare phase over here at Fort Chaffee. If you click your radio, just click it. They will radio direction find you that fast, and there will be a drone and or an AC-130 gunship over the top of your position within moments, and you will die. Not once, not twice, every single time. If you have anything that emits a signal, to say nothing of, and so this is EW, electronic warfare, you pull up in your truck with your cell phone, and your cell phone's emitting a signal, right? That signal's collected. You have, and your cell phone has an individual SSID. So now they know you, okay? They know you. Simple as that. How they know you and what they do with that information is beyond the scope of what we're going to talk about publicly on YouTube, but they got you. Simple as that. Then you go do OPFOR, operational forces, oppositional forces rather. Be the bad guy. Role play the bad guy. You click your radio, just your little Baofeng, your little Yaesu, whatever it is, interest squad communications. You click your radio, you're dead. That fast. Now, this is near peer. Hopefully, none of us are ever fighting SEALs or SF or MARSOC for real. For real. But they are not the only people that have that capability, okay? And not everybody who has that capability is a good guy. And so I bring all this up to say, if you're one of those people that like nerds out on everybody on your SHTF team has got to have a radio and a little earbud piece and a push to talk, and we're going to be running ATAC and that, okay, you are emitting so much signal, so much frequency that me with my limited skills, I can find you. I can target you. I can put people or things on you that fast, okay? And I'm not them. Now, it might seem a little, seem like the juxtaposition here as he sits here wearing his, my RadioMadeEasy.com hat, because we love Evan and he's an excellent teacher, and he's partnered with Refuge on classes in the past and in the future. There's actually more radio classes up at refugemedical.com right now. 0 to Hero and Tactical Radio Operator. Why all the disparaging talk about radios? There's a time and a place to use your radio. Like right now, we have grindstone teams in Texas on the flooding down there. We'll come to flooding next. Squirrel brain. I just thought of a thing. There's a time and a place for radios. Grindstone is in Texas right now and the floods down there. And communications and logistics go hand in hand. In order to be able to do big things, we have to have good commo. But we're not fighting a near-peer threat. And how we define near-peer can vary greatly. Because anecdotal story, one night we were out at Chaffee doing OPFOR stuff with SEALs. And the SEAL platoon patrolled inside of our perimeter and walked up to 4 of my guys in the dark and just started talking to them because they thought that my guys were their guys. Because everybody was holding M4s, everybody was wearing multicam, everybody had their boots bloused, everybody had ballistic helmets with nods on, they all looked the same. And so they stood there, the SEALs stood there and talked to my guys for a couple of minutes, in hushed whispers, until one of my guys was like, all right, joke's over, and just started shooting. And we're no one. We're just civilians that like to LARP and nerd out, on TACMED stuff. Okay? Now, this was this platoon's first land warfare phase, not their 14th. That's a different caliber of human being. When you're fighting against somebody on their 14th or 19th land warfare phase, they'll eat your lunch like that fast. But my point is, we need to redefine what we consider to be near peer because of the proliferation of enablers at the civilian level, okay? So be careful what you freaking emit coming, again, from Command Sergeant Major Kevin P. Dorsch, USA, Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Special Operations Command North. emphasized that U.S. warfighters really need to take a look at everything that emits a frequency and understand the risk. It is any type of communications, whether that's to a drone, to another person, to an entity, to a satellite, he said. All those things are something that you have to really take a hard look at when facing a near peer. If you emanate, they will decimate. SOF knows this. SOF is dealing with this. They're dealing with this in Ukraine. Anyway, painting a picture here, there's been SOF in Ukraine since at least 2014, actively and ongoing, available with a quick Google search. Now, Texas, flooding. I'm not saying I believe this, but I found it super interesting. Let's just go here for a minute. Are y'all still with me? 645 people on right now. By the way, share the show with somebody you love. YouTube algorithm hates our guts. It's the only way the channel grows. Hell, it's the only way people who are subscribed actually see the show. On Patreon, every time I go live, I post a link. So at least on Patreon, you'll get the link because YouTube doesn't notify people when we're going live. And YouTube unsubscribes people from this channel all the time. It's not me doing it, it's YouTube. So if you want to be subscribed, make sure that you're actually subscribed. Please and thank you. And if you don't want to be subscribed, why the hell are you here? Go, touch grass, homie. Go breathe real air. Drink mountain stream water, preferably that you've purified, but whatever. Okay. Saw this, I reposted it on X. I'm on X, by the way, at Bear Slays Pedos. Interesting, very interesting, purely conjecture. The idea, the concept was where all these massive floods have taken place across the United States of America. Hurricane Helene, southwestern Arkansas, now central Texas, New York City right now, there's a lot of flooding going on. Is that due to changes in the upper atmosphere in the jet stream? Probably. Is it due to cloud seeding? Probably. There's probably not just a single culprit here. Again, made it happen or let it happen. But all these locations that are flooding catastrophically are all known locations. Again, I'm repeating this. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I find it interesting. They're all known locations of Dems, deep underground military bases. And right now, the Trump coalition in the federal government, what they're doing with this weather warfare, the reason they can't stop the cloud seeding is because they're using the weather warfare to flood the Dems, the deep underground military bases, so that the alternate government and the deep state that's in the Dems are all being killed and flooded out so that Trump can take over the country again and restore the republic and blah, 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 blah. Maybe, I don't know. It's a hell of a theory, though. It's super interesting. Is it true? I don't know. How would one even go about proving that? I don't know. But I like the idea. Yeah, there's Dems under there. That's where the Pleiadians who came to Earth during the JFK presidency, and they made a treaty that they were only going to take so many human beings per year for experimentation, but then the reptilians violated that treaty, and they all live on the bases underground, the lizard people, and now we're flooding out the lizard people. Okay, cool, man, maybe. I don't know. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? How much food do you have put up? Is your vehicle a combination gun truck and ambulance? Because police and EMS response times average 37 minutes. Average. In some cases, it's way further away than you might think. Average 37 minutes in the United States of America, which is 60% of your golden hour, a little more than 60% of your golden hour right there. Do you have the requisite skills and abilities in order to be able to problem solve in real time for the preservation of life? And not just the equipment, the skills. And we sell first aid kits here all day, every day. Praise the Most High. But it's the skills that go with it that matters, because just like you can buy your Bravo company or your Daniel Defense or hell, even your Palmetto. I like Palmetto. I was banging steel with a Palmetto on targets out in Wyoming that people with expensive rifles couldn't hit. Cool. I like Palmetto. It works. My point is, owning the thing does not equate to proficiency with the thing. Possession is not proficiency. And then, so what skills should you be proficient in? All of them. well, I'm just a single human being. I've only got so much time. I've only got so many resources. I can't, be proficient in everything. You're correct. You cannot. Which is why you need to have a group of people that you live a fulfilling and meaningful life with for the preservation of life, that if/when things go off the rails, you can designate section leaders, your security person and your commo person and your director of goat and sheep operations and your medical personnel and who's going to do laundry and who's cooking the food around here and who's our logistics person and how much food do we actually have, and oh my gosh, do we have enough food? I guess I shouldn't have bought so much linked M80 ball ammo, and instead I should have bought some corn, rice, wheat, and beans. Blah, blah. How do I store protein long term, Bear? Breathing. Breathing is how you store protein long term. And if you have enough long term protein that's breathing, it goes from breathing to breeding and makes you even more protein, which now gets into strategic relocation. Maybe, hear me out, maybe Hoboken, New Jersey is not the ideal place to survive the end of the world as we know it. Well, how do we know how the world's going to end? We don't. But the cool thing is, it all kind of looks the same. If you've ever looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your basic needs are very basic and they can be fulfilled pretty much anywhere on Earth other than environmental factors. Food, water, shelter, procreation. That's about it. Air. That's it. Those are your basic physiological needs. You could do that pretty much anywhere. But, ambient temperature, rainfall are considerations. I'd say property taxes are a consideration. You hear all the time Texas, Texas doesn't have a state income tax. It doesn't need one. Have you seen the property taxes? Yeah, well, Oklahoma has a state income tax. Have you seen the property taxes? Yeah, I have infinitely more land in Oklahoma than I had in Texas and pay 30% of the taxes that we pay in Texas, including state income tax, as compared to what it was in Texas. Cost-benefit analysis. Anyway, my point is, you need to be doing stuff that matters. Is it interesting that maybe the DUMS, the deep underground military bases, by the way, why does everything need an acronym? Does it matter that the DUMS are getting flooded so the reptilian overlords and the Pleiadians are all gonna die, man, and so that Trump can restore it? He can do away with the Corporation of the United States of America and get back to the Constitution of the United States. Yeah, that's super interesting. What are you gonna eat when the power goes out? And not because China hacked the grid, which is entirely possible, or because Russia or Iran or Pakistan or North Korea launched missiles at us, which is possible, but because a tree branch fell on a power line, or, hear me out, it rained too much, or the sky got angry and it got kind of windy, and sometimes the wind spins in a circle, we call it a tornado, or there's a big rainstorm in the Gulf of America now? Yeah, the Gulf of America, and it makes landfall, and it totally jacks up all of the infrastructure within a 100-mile radius from the center of the storm, and there's no electricity. What are you gonna eat? Where are you gonna poop? How are you gonna sleep? Sleep, by the way, I've been thinking about this. Diatribe on the diatribe on the diatribe. Trust me, we're bringing it back to Mike Johnson and Epstein here in a minute, okay? Sleep is one of Maslow's foundational hierarchy needs. Okay, gotta have it. One can use sleep as an indicator for how well prepared you are. Now, for somebody like me, who was just a week ago, I was in Wyoming teaching, and now I'm home, and then tomorrow morning we head to Kentucky so we can go teach some more, and then we come home, and then we go to Georgia so that we can teach, and then we come home, and then we teach here, and then when we get done teaching here, we'll be in North Carolina teaching there, and then. My sleep schedule's not as good as it could be, but that's my fault, not the environmental factors. So you can use sleep as an indicator for how well prepared you are. Because if there's two of you, you and your wife on the homestead, and you got to pull shifts for security, you only got two people to break that up with, your sleep cycle is going to be all jacked up. But if you have enough people and you've prepared adequately enough, you can afford sleep for all of your people for an appropriate sleep cycle. So sleep, the ability to sleep in times of chaos, however they might happen, external or internal indicators, environmental factors, geopolitical factors, whatever it is, whatever the external stimulus is, sleep becomes a really good litmus test for how well you've actually prepared. And a huge part of that preparation is people don't want to hang out with other people, which is retarded, okay? No one has done anything substantial alone. Well, what about Nikola Tesla? You mean the guy who died penniless and broke and alone, and whose technologies have been suppressed for the last 100 years, who was taken advantage of by Thomas Edison, who had a huge conglomeration of people that afforded him the power and resources to be able to take advantage of the single person? What an interesting argument you make. Nobody has done anything impactful alone, is my point. So it takes teams of people. Most people in the preparedness space tend to be introverted, and they tend to be a little paranoid. I don't know if you've noticed that. So you need to come out of your shell, and you need to go to events like Kentucky Sustainable Living, which is happening this weekend. Where's that, Bear? Google.com. Kentucky Sustainable Living. Oh my gosh, there it is. I found it. Okay. Well, I don't like using Google. Okay. I don't know if you know this or not. The robots are in charge of the internet now. Like, you're 20 years behind at this point. If you're still not Googling stuff, you're 20 years behind the curve, and it's gotten exponentially smarter. Not in a linear fashion, exponentially smarter over time. By the way, my policy for robots is shoot them in the face/battery until they fall over with the largest caliber we can possibly find. Not a fan of the robots. But go to Kentucky Sustainable Living, go to that event this weekend, which I don't make any dollars if you show up, and the tickets are incredibly affordable. I think they're $35 a piece for the weekend, and children 17 and under are free. Okay? So you can flip the couch over, take the coins and the couch to the Coinstar, get enough bucks to come to Kentucky Sustainable Living, and meet real people, because you're gonna need people, regardless of whatever the external stimulus is, whether it's a tornado, hurricane, fire, flood, Pleiadians, lizard people underneath the ground in deep underground military bases, Russian nuclear weapons, solar death, pole shift, whatever it is, you're gonna need people. You can't do it all yourself, even if you don't like people, or even if you're so egotistical to think that you can do it all by yourself. You're wrong. You can't. It's as simple as that. Now, speaking of people, here's some people named Mike Johnson, Trump, and Epstein. What an interesting group of people to say. Passively paranoid, says Nathaniel Bowman. Here's another thing, preparedness space. Clicks and views. It's all about clicks and views. Whether that's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X, whatever it is, clicks and views. Everybody wants traction because that's how everybody gets paid, is traction. So they'll say outrageous shit in order to get you to pay attention to it, which then is fear-based, and so then your autonomic nervous system and amygdala are activated. That gets you breathing heavy, and so you're short-term motivated by the fear instead of long-term motivated by your own resilience and hope. Okay? So to be passively paranoid, my question would become, how is that serving you? How does that actually improve your life? Deeper question, how does that weaponize you for good for the kingdom of the Most High? And if the answer is it doesn't, then these are what the hippies would call limiting beliefs. Although there's some validity to that concept. These are limiting beliefs. In other words, get rid of that shit. Become something else. Like a caterpillar into a butterfly, or whatever. Figure it out, homie. But having these limiting beliefs, if they're not serving you, and more importantly, if they're not serving the Most High, ditch it, get rid of it. And if they are serving you, and if they are serving the Most High, cool, hang on to it. But that becomes a go, no-go gauge for the beliefs that you tell yourself daily is, what are the fruits of this belief system? And if the answer is it's bad fruit, or it's no fruit, then you got to prune that shit out of your life. From Axios.com, far left liberal rag, known for terrible reporting, inaccurate reporting. Anyway, Here it is. Mike Johnson signals break with Trump on Epstein. Die, fly, which is German for the fly. The big picture, President Trump has urged his rattled base not to waste time over the case, but the Justice Department and FBI conclusion that Epstein died by suicide in 2019, had no client list, has driven a wedge within the MAGA world. He's dead for a long time. He's never been a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is, Trump told reporters Tuesday when asked about his supporters' focus on the case, which he described as pretty boring stuff. He doesn't understand why his supporters are focused on the case when many of the people in his cabinet were appointed because of the work they said they would do on this case, and he himself used it as leverage on the campaign trail in 2024. We're being gaslit. Now, some people would say, no, it's 4D chess. Trump knows something that we don't know. I've seen, Mike sent me a video of some guy saying, no, the reason that they can't discuss the Epstein case is because Epstein is being tried via a military tribunal. How? If that's the case, there's definitely some stuff here that I don't know.
There's a little more.
There's a little, well, why don't you come tell the people? Mike goes, there's a little more. Tell the folks. Speaking to my magic wand here.
So, according to the guy who was a supposed former SEAL Team 6 guy, because he didn't use DevGru or anything like that, but he said he was former SEAL Team 6. Can I say his name?
I don't care.
It's Michael Jaco.
Is his name out there?
Yeah.
Okay, then, sure.
Okay. So he said since the Clinton years, the FBI has moved outside of their jurisdiction, and Epstein is classified as a terrorist, and that falls into SOF stuff. That's why he believes this will be a military tribunal thing, not an FBI thing, because that's technically not in their jurisdiction. They're supposed to be investigating stuff within the United States, and Epstein is connected to outside the United States. That's what he said.
That's the reasoning?
That's the nutshell version.
Okay, interesting. It's super interesting. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. There was another gentleman on X yesterday saying that the reason that the Epstein files have not been disclosed yet is because they are evidence in an ongoing trial, and therefore they cannot be disclosed. Maybe. Sounds kind of like hopium to me. A lot of people high on the hopium here. Yeah, so who said that? Ludovico. So release it if it's so boring. Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. If it's not a big deal, then just release it. Now, here's the thing, too. Whatever they release, what's the next logical conclusion here? Whatever they release is going to be suspect. We'll never know what the actual Epstein files are, and if the actual Epstein files are what everybody has said that they are, we're never going to see them. There's not going to be disclosure on this. Now, Trump campaigned on the release of these files. Trump campaigned on no new wars. Trump campaigned on restoring the American economy. This brings us back around to either he is a politician and he lied, and he gaslit his base. We talked about that yesterday, building rapport and what that looks like. Or he doesn't have the horsepower that he said that he has and that everybody thought that he has. Or there's something else going on that none of us sees. And it's kind of that third option, there's something else going on that none of us sees, that a lot of people espouse, I think, because that's where the most comfort lies. I want to like Donald J. Trump. I really do. And then you get these ad hominem attacks. It's like, well, it's better than Kamala. I never said I liked Kamala. Don't be a douchebag. Don't be an idiot. Okay? I want to like the man. But Messiah said, you shall know them by their fruits. Messiah also said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So the yes has not been yes, the no has not been no, and the fruits are the opposite of what we were promised on the campaign trail, which unfortunately requires me to take this individual and put them back in the category of politician. Okay? And so if this was a source, if we were just going to rate a source, is this an A1 source? Is their information good and they're consistent and they don't miss? The answer would be no. No, it would not be. And so it takes a cult of personality to fill the gap between the quality of the information provided by the source and the trust that's been placed in that source, the President of the United States of America. And so that means that the reporting and the commentary that we're getting on this by anyone who doesn't have the ability or will not just simply call balls and strikes as far as accountability, truth, and veracity is concerned, all of that's skewed. It's all unreliable witness bullshit and or manufactured propaganda. So it makes it difficult to get a solid read on what's actually happening here because the source itself is either compromised or not the quality of source that we thought it was going to be. Okay? And then there's a ton of signals noise. Every mainstream media outlet has got something going on with this. Then you've got all the people in the House, all the people in the Senate, they all have their opinions on this. They go on to X and Instagram and everywhere else. Then you got people like me on the internet just providing opinion and analysis. And so there's tons of noise here. And it's in that noise where if we get a dissemination of the Epstein files, whatever is put out will be unbelievable, untrustworthy anyway. So was it me, if I was Trump, what I would say, right, putting my I'm a bad guy, I'm a politician hat on, I would say, Pamela, release the files, wink. And the files that would be released will be the files that we concocted that implicate all of my political enemies. Hillary, Comey, Obama, maybe some Supreme Court justices in there. I would implicate all of my political enemies. And it would have to be believable. So if I was Trump, I would also say, I was on the plane, I never went to the island, I never touched little boys or little girls. Very nasty, I never did that. But yes, I knew Jeffrey, and then I stopped knowing Jeffrey. Now there's also a pretty easy to follow rabbit trail here of one of Epstein's associates and business partners ran a modeling agency. That modeling agency brought Melania to the United States of America as a model, and it was through that modeling agency that Trump met Melania. She was not underage. It all seems to be above board. There was no collusion, coercion here, no exploitation here. But just that association there of Melania worked for this agency, and the owner of that agency was in cohort with Jeffrey Epstein, and Trump is now married to Melania, maybe part of the reason why the files haven't come out yet, and they never will. The real files never will. Everything we get here, henceforth is manufactured. Part of the delay is probably the time that it has taken to manufacture these things. So I'm sure you could chat GPT prompt your way into these things in about an hour. But having the egg on their face of the origin of the relationship between Trump and Melania is factually tied to an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. So if it was me, if I was Trump, and I'm a dirty politician in D.C., and I want to dangle a sword of Damocles over the heads of my enemies, yeah, I'd have my own files compiled by somebody very loyal to me, Bongino, Cash, Bondi, and that, you know, there's some rumblings there, right? But definitely Bondi. Bondi's absolutely loyal to Trump, which means Trump probably has dirt on Pamela, the art of the deal, right? Bongino and Cash, maybe not so much, but I would, if I was the scumbag, I'd be manufacturing my own files that would name all of my enemies in the files, and me just a little bit of dirt, nothing severe, right? Because it's got to be believable. I was on the plane, I've never been to the island, I told Jeffrey, I'm sorry, we're not friends anymore, right? And so an admission of guilt that doesn't completely erode the trust that his base has in him. That's exactly what I would do. It remains to be seen what he's going to do, if anything. Blah, blah, blah. Screw that. Moving on. The Guardian, Republicans move to block Democratic effort to force release of the Epstein files. This was some nefarious headline bullshizery here. The White House has come under fire for not releasing documents related to late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In a nutshell, the Democrats were trying to pass a movement, which, pass a movement, if you have any healthcare background, that's directly equated to pooping. And so this bill was essentially poop as well. Basically, what the Democrats were working on was a bill that would have constituted central bank digital currency, and what was the other portion of that? Some database, broad brushstrokes, CBDC, central bank digital currency, and a database of Americans. And the Republicans were like, nah, we're not doing that. Now, don't for a minute think the Republicans are good guys. Okay, it's like NASCAR. They just drive for a different team, but they're all bought and paid for, all right? And the Republicans were like, nah, we're not doing that. And so then the Democrats added an addendum to the bill that would have exposed the Jeffrey Epstein files. If the Republicans voted for it, then there would have been central bank digital currency as well as this giant database of Americans, but we would have gotten the Epstein files. And which Epstein files would we have gotten? Not the real ones. Those suckers are locked up. They're in the Vatican basement at this point, next to the skulls of giants and the Ark of the Covenant and alien corpses. So that's where what they were going for was the optics of all of the Republicans voted against the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Well, yeah, because the bill itself was hot garbage. Also, by the way, remember one of the campaign promises was no more omnibus bills, single issue bills. Remember that? Nope, don't have that anymore. So, Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Then we get into Jizlane Maxwell. Quote, I'd be surprised if President Trump knew his lawyers were asking the Supreme Court to let the government break a deal, Maxwell attorney David Oscar Marcus said in a statement emailed to The Guardian. He's the ultimate deal maker, and I'm sure he'd agree that when the United States gives its word, it should keep it. Sure. With all the talk about who's being prosecuted and who isn't, it's especially unfair that Jizlane Maxwell remains in prison based on a promise the government made and broke. But Congress could now call on Maxwell to testify, citing anonymous sources. The Daily Mail reported on Monday that Maxwell is interested in doing that. In some circumstances, under Federal Rule 35, a convicted felon can negotiate a reduction in sentence in exchange for cooperation. Nonetheless, the government has shown little interest in doing that, especially when Maxwell was maintaining her innocence and appealing her conviction. Prosecutors made it clear at that time that they considered the case closed and would not go after lesser alleged figures in the sex trafficking conspiracy. If there's no list and nothing to see here, why is she still in prison? The answer is she's a fail-safe. She's a fail-safe. At some point, they will parade her in front of all the cameras, parade her in front of Congress, or a potential move that they could make is they will parade her, do the publicity tour thing of her saying she was wrongly accused. She'll probably sue the government and get a settlement with your taxpayer dollars for being wrongly accused and wrongly imprisoned, probably, and this will be her payoff for keeping her mouth shut for the last 4 or 5 years. And she will corroborate the talking point that there was no list. Did Jeffrey have some wild parties? Yes. Was he a matchmaker? Yes. Did he have the best parties, and that's why all the most powerful people, including former Prime Minister of the nation state of Israel, Ehud Barak, would hang out at these parties? Oh, I said the quiet part out loud. Yes, he had the best parties. But Jeffrey was no human trafficker. Did he like to get massages? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so they'll explain down all of these things. They'll lower the threshold of pain to the point where it's at a minimum civil, questionable, but not criminal. All right? and the operation will be maintained. There'll be no disclosure of actual names. If there's disclosure of actual names, it'll be a manufactured list against political enemies, not the actual list. And then the CIA and the Mossad will maintain their anonymity. They'll maintain standoff. They won't have to have one of their assets debriefed. They won't have to expose their tactics, techniques, procedures, their means and methods that were used with Epstein as part of a coercion and co-opting campaign. Won't have to do any of that. And Jizlane Maxwell, who is not a reliable witness, will be paraded as a reliable witness to say, look, I told you so. Yeah, sure. Totally believable. And people will be upset, they'll deal with it, and they'll move on. And there'll probably be some type of distraction at the same time. More bombs in Iran, or North Korea launches another missile, or insert thing here. Some cyber attack to take everybody's, and they'll release all this information on a Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, something bad will happen. And the news cycle, which used to be weekly if not daily, and is now daily if not hourly, and sometimes minute by minute, coupled with everybody's goldfish brain that's been tempered, that's been conditioned by social media to look at a post for 7 seconds and keep scrolling, it'll become, back shelf information, and the whole world will continue to proceed while this whole Epstein thing fades into obscurity. And who cares? Trump doesn't care. Lame duck president. Or is he co-opted too? And if so, by who? Those are the bigger questions. I don't have the answer to those bigger questions, because Maslow's basic needs, food, water, shelter, air, sleep, procreation, it's wildly fascinating, and justice should be served. I don't think Epstein deleted himself. I do think he was running a co-option, coercion campaign for foreign intel services. And I think that there's 100 other Jeffrey Epsteins. You just haven't heard about the rest of them. And I do think that this should come to light, and that the chips fall where they may. I think there should be heads on spikes on the White House lawn, up to and including the President of the United States of America, if called for. Comma, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. This swamp's not been drained, and it's not going to get drained. I think this country is in line to die a slow, painful death, unfortunately, and some new republic may emerge based upon inputs from the constituents. And I'll say this too, you hear a lot about like it's time for a second revolution. Maybe. Is it? I don't see anybody training and mobilizing for that. I don't see it. I just don't see it. We went to war with the world's greatest superpower at the time over a small, very small tax on tea, and myriad other things. Whiskey rebellion. There was a lot of stuff happening. With the straw that broke the camel's back, 2% tax. Now you give half of your income to the federal government and your state government, and everybody's fine with it. And your dollar is worth less day by day by day. And they take your sons and daughters and send them half world away to go bleed and die in the war that you paid for. And as long as the Wi-Fi is fast, and you got your latte or whatever, you got your Marlboros, you got your Zin, you got your Copenhagen, you're good. And we call that freedom in the United States of America. So I just don't see a critical mass of outrage at the civilian level the constituent level, in order for there ever to be another uprising. I just don't see it. And why? That's why there's been such a demoralization campaign, and that's why they have destroyed the morals and ethics of the United States constituency through things like LGBTQIA+ and mass murder with abortions and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all that they've eroded, and bringing in 50 million undocumented peoples and people from all over the world in here to erode what it means to be an American. That ship has sailed, and time goes forward, not backwards. So the only way we get to the point where we don't have these problems to worry about anymore is the system fails. I don't think you're going to I don't think we're gonna Jenga our way out of this. We can't take certain pieces out and reinsert certain pieces. I think the whole thing's got to get knocked over and start building again. And we have to know what it means to be a God-fearing people, and we have to get back to these Christian values. We have to serve Messiah. We have to love our neighbor as ourselves and love the Father with everything that we've got. And notice I intentionally did not say Judeo-Christian values because I reject the Talmud outright. So in the meanwhile, corn, rice, wheat, and beans. Have a little bit of water. Make sure you know how to shoot your pistol and your rifle. Make sure your radio is charged. Meet your friends, meet your neighbors, do meaningful stuff. And when will the world end, Bear? Hell, I don't know. Hopefully not today, because we got to be in Kentucky teaching this weekend, and it's going to be awesome. And after that, we got to be in Georgia teaching. And after that, we got to be in Oklahoma teaching. And then after that, we got to be in North Carolina teaching. And then after that, I don't know. I think Upper Midwest. I got to look at the calendar. So. Raran. Raran. Come here, Raman. Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. It's White Girl Wednesday.
I know, this white girl looks rough. All the white girls are gonna take over. Yeah.
Oh, it's a white girl takeover, hostile takeover. I love it.
Wait, where are you going?
I'm not a white girl.
Wait, where's the camera?
I learned something new yesterday. Okay.
Sit in a chair. Get close to the microphone.
Oh wait, no. Look, with me standing, I'm literally perfect.
Lauren, get close to the microphone. Everybody, sit in the chair.
Okay, but I can't show them what I learned.
Okay, then sit in the chair.
Okay. So.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 37, and I have decided. Have you heard of like the shuffle, the dancing? Have you seen that? I decided I'm gonna learn how to do it. So I did my first mini lesson last night. I can do the Running Man, and I started to learn the Polly Pocket. I feel very heavy, like it's a lot of weight to like try and jump around. It is a really good workout, but I can totally do the Running Man.
You are totally a white girl.
Yes, I am white, everyone.
White girl, all the way.
I did it though. Based, see?
Yep.
Saucin said based. All right, tell them.
I think Saucin's also.
So
I don't know Saucin's ethnicity. Definitely a girl. I think white. Maybe a little Asian in there. I don't know.
Don't be
she
offended.
likes the sauce. Is that why you said she's Asian? Because she likes the sauce?
I think I've met Saucin at several events. I think she might have a little like, or like upper step like Mongolian in there. I could see some Genghis Khan DNA in there. I don't know. Saucin, tell us something.
God. You just told a woman you could see some Genghis Khan up in there.
Yeah, so I think she could. I think she could slay some people if she had to. She's probably pretty good at riding a horse. She probably likes furry hats.
Spanish and Irish, she said.
That's what I said.
Wrong on all accounts.
I believe in the peninsula.
Oh my goodness.
How far did Genghis Khan's empire reach?
All across the Asia?
The Asia? Okay.
The Asia.
All right,
the Asia continent.
Do your jobs. I'm getting more coffee. This is ridiculous.
This got a little bit crazy for a minute.
So if y'all, I don't know if you talked about it, but we now have 150 lives saved.
We haven't talked about that one yet.
Praise y'all.
Actually, we haven't talked about
You
that
didn't talk about it?
No.
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, we had 149,
Mm-hmm.
and then 150 came in. And
it was like 4 came in the last week and a half.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So praise y'all. What else do we have?
So
we have the pocket.
We have the pocket deal going on. So people, we've noticed, really like the bundles. So we had created a few bundles that were supposed to be temporary, which they are, but we decided to extend them because we noticed that people really, really like the bundles. So right now you can still do the summer adventure one, and that's the $70 off the adventure, the free burn dosing set, and then the remote responder that needs to be updated.
I know, I was going to tell you.
Realized, yeah.
I meant to text you that last night, but
we need to update. We have one coming up in August, and then we have the pocket plus the TQ deal, where if you get the pocket, you get $4.99 off your TQ. No, $6.80. $6.80 off your TQ, and then we also have the. Oh, do we have any more of the cool charging boxes left?
Yes.
I wanted to get one more before.
Yeah,
they sold
we're just out of red travel facts right now.
Yeah.
We have black, but if you order a red, it might take a couple of weeks to ship. But we do have that deal. Those charger packs are freaking awesome.
They're amazing.
They are amazing.
Yeah. We charged a tractor, Heath's truck. We used it in a tornado as a flashlight. And we've used it to charge. I mean, you can charge like your
We jumped
phones and
big ass diesel truck out in the parking lot with it.
Yeah, and it's like literally this big, and it comes with these little deep deep attachments, and you can plug your phone into it, and it comes with like a carrying bag and stuff. But it's super small and compact.
Yeah, and yeah, they're super awesome. We got them as a part of another kit that I will not name.
We can't name it.
We can't name it. But y'all might see it out there in the ether somewhere one day.
Patricia Powell said, "Is my travel bag bundle still going to Kentucky for pickup then?"
Yes, it is. The guys are loading it up today, so
they're heading out there tomorrow.
It's over there with my stack. Somebody asked another question on
training in
North Carolina.
That's the second person I've asked, or that's asked today about that.
Yeah. So North Carolina is a cool place. I was born in North Carolina. Thank y'all. But we have Refuge with the Train the Trainer program that we have been doing. We now have Refuge training partners that we are getting ready to put on the site. So if you go to refugemedical.com and under our training tab, you will see in-person training, and then directly under that there is Refuge training partners. So we are going to start having our training partners classes listed on our website, and they are going to be all across the United States.
Yep.
There's also a locator that is going to live on that page that if you are in a state and you are interested in having a class, we are in the works, so we only have like one on there right now, but we are in the works on getting all those training partners added to that locator, so you should be able to go on the website, pull up the map, and it will have little pings in all the states.
I'm working on getting more people added into that.
Yeah.
Right now we have Indiana, I think, is available.
Yes.
And there's actually 2 classes they can choose from right now in Indiana. Just saying. And then, of course, don't forget, we do private classes. Now, this year is really booked. So if you do want a private class, email admin.
You got the dime, I'll make the time.
What I was saying was,
you ain't a white girl. Get out of here.
if you email either admin or training@refugemedical.com, we can give you a quote, and you can find out like how many people you need to have there and all of that. So we do travel now. We know we took a break from that for a while, but we do travel now, and that's awesome. I love when people say that. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Heart Citizen. Hello. Anyways, I think that's all the deals that we have going on right now. We do still have spots for Wilderness Responder and the
Essential Responder coming
and
up.
Trainer.
Yep. And then we'll be rolling out our next Remote Responder class coming up for August 22nd. I got to get that put in the store.
Yeah, I think that was the day we were doing it. It's
Yep.
the 22nd. And
So.
we're hoping this one might be a little bit different than the last ones. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If we can get it done in time.
We'll see. There's
With
a lot
everybody
going
leaving.
on.
Everybody's leaving
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, we've got Heath is down with Grindstone. TJ and the team are heading to KSL. And then as soon as everybody like comes back, they all leave again.
Yeah, they're only here for like
we're
5
like,
days.
okay, hi, bye. It was nice to see you.
Another new exciting thing. You can now pick up your order at Refuge.
In-store pickup.
In-store
an
pickup
option.
if you're local, or if you just want to come for a visit.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to be in the area, you can select that now on the website to come get your order and meet us. We'll give you a grand tour of the Refuge facility.
Yeah, and all of the changes.
Our chaos. We call this the nut house
It just, yeah.
because we squirrel.
Yes.
We're a bunch of squirrels.
We are a bunch of squirrels, and you just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, TJ.
All right, white man, come back.
The white women have spoken. That's gonna get flagged. Oh my gosh.
Did you give me my third
I'm
temple strike?
Probably.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I said the white women have spoken.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
Yep, we're done for.
Sorry, y'all.
That doesn't sound
Shalom,
very
you guys.
inclusive.
Oh boy.
Thank you.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Oh, also, an ad. It said ad. They popped up an ad during your live.
You didn't hit the button?
It didn't give me a button. It just said ad was inserted, and then someone was like, ads during a live. YouTube sucks.
Bottom left.
Was it one of our ads?
I don't know. If it was one of our ads, that would have been cool.
Oh.
But I doubt it. They probably wouldn't complain if it was one of ours.
I am back. Hi everybody. How long have we been doing this for? Where's my little timer at? I cannot see. Yeah, we need an extension cord for KSL. There's yellow ones, 100 footers at the other office in the classroom. Brother Daniel, hi Bear. About Tree Fitty, MC Uper. Hey, Rick asks, TJ, what flashlight do you EDC? Well, I like the Streamlight TLR1-HL on my weapon, and then this is here. I'll pull it up. Let's pull it up. Where's my thingy? www.google.com, not the Google, gargle. There we go. Stream. Oh my gosh. Streamlight Pro Tac 2LX. Oh my gosh, they have way too many options here. That one right there. That's a StreamTac Pro Tac, Streamlight Pro Tac 2LX. No, I don't want you to know my location. So this is it right here, and this is what it looks like after a couple years of carrying it every day. And it does run on a rechargeable 18650. However, here's the rechargeable 18650. It'll also run on a pair of CR123s, and I like that a lot because I've tried to standardize on CR123s to the best of my ability. But now that I have this out, I'm just going to go ahead and put a quick charge on this battery. Now, the funny thing about the battery is that you cannot stop the battery. So be aware of that. Possibly, you know, can one even pick the best song on the album Master of Puppets? It's up there though. It's definitely up there. So yeah, Streamlight ProTac 2LX USB C4 LED. What the do they name these things like they're freaking airplanes? Olight Balder, plane prepper. Yeah, so I was an Olight guy for a long time, and I've broken a few of them. The lens caps here on the end on weapons lights, I've had those not like impacted the lens and it broke, but I've had the bezel loosen up under recoil and fall out. Now it didn't happen on this, but on a couple of different Olight weapons lights, I've had this whole part just fall apart. Well, you need to police your stuff, Bear. I do, and so was unimpressed by that. And then possibly the most annoying thing ever with Olight is not just one proprietary charger, it's two proprietary chargers, because their handheld lights and their weapons lights take option A for the magnetic proprietary charger, whereas their small weapons lights, like pistol mounted lights, take option B, reverse polarity magnetic proprietary magnetic weapons charger, light charger thing. And so that's annoying as shit. It's not just that I have to have one proprietary charger, I have to have two proprietary chargers, Whereas this just takes a little USB cable, plug it into the battery, good to go. Or, and the other thing with Olights is taking it apart to get at the battery, not a thing. Whereas, let's see, can I do this off camera without getting channel strike number 3? Okay. Whereas this guy right here, Streamlight TLR1HL, this guy, this weapons light, so you got momentary, or double tap it for strobe, or on off switch right there, all which I can get with my finger. And I can pop this end cap off like so and just swap out CR123s, which I can also take these CR123s and I can put them in this light here and put the end cap on, and now I have a flashlight, handheld flashlight that also runs on CR123s. And so is the CR123 as effective, 2 CR123s as effective as one 18650? No, it's not. But define effective, it's not quite as bright, but I can carry, and I do carry, CR123s with me, that when it's time to go do a thing, I swap all the batteries on all my stuff. All of it. Weapons light, CR123. Nods, CR123. PEC 15, CR123. Weapons light on my rifle, CR123. Handheld flashlight, CR123. Boom, I'm up. I just need a sleeve of CR123s, and I don't have to headlamp CR123, and I don't have to have AA's, AAA's, 18650s, CR123s, CR2032s, 2016s, none of that. It's all just CR123. And that's like a direction I started working in years ago, just to simplify the logistics of what batteries do I need to have. Just CR123s. And if, oh my gosh, my nods, I just put fresh batteries in them, but they're, for whatever reason, they're not working now. Okay, well, I don't like it, but I'm gonna take my handheld flashlight, take it apart, and steal a battery out of it and put it in my nods, or whatever. So, boo, 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 boo. Shalom from Texas, buckets and bottles. Wait, there's other pistol lights than the TLR1HL. Yes, Striker K, there are. There are many like it, but this one is mine. So, anyway, that's I don't know how long I've been live for. Oh, there it is. There's my counter. Hour 17. That's about standard for us. Continuing on, grindstoneministries.com. It's in Texas right now. If you would like to contribute to a reputable organization that's been doing disaster relief significantly longer than since when it started raining in Texas 11 days ago, prayerfully consider supporting Grindstone Ministries or joining Grindstone Ministries. You can go to grindstoneministries.com. Link is in the description text here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. We'll send you email blasts. We will not spam your email. We won't sell your email. That's how we communicate with you when we have things to do, okay? You can hit the volunteer now button, and that'll begin the process to become a Grindstone volunteer to come and assist. Or you can hit the donate now button if you're led by the Spirit to do so. There is a massive amount of grift happening in Texas right now. Nobody wants to talk about it because there's this whole Texas pride, egotistical bullshit thing that's going on. But there's a huge amount of grift. There's lots of people masquerading as if they are in Texas, allowed to be there, and are doing things, and they're not. Some combination of those three, if not all of those three. And there's air quote ministries that are receiving millions of dollars in donations that aren't even there. There's people who are impersonating firemen and paramedics and law enforcement officers, starting GoFundMes that are not. And so please share Grindstone Ministries on your socials. Grindstone has its own YouTube channel. You can get daily updates as to what they're doing in Texas. Grindstone Ministries YouTube channel. Same thing with the Instagram and the Facebook, and share that out to people, because we've been doing this for a hot minute. We've done more than 50 deployments in the last 6 years since 2019, from Hurricane Helene to Texas to Rolling Fork, Mississippi to Mayfield, Kentucky, and all kinds of storms in between. We're good at this. Our love language is diesel fuel and chainsaws, and we are almost entirely volunteer based. We have small overhead with a few key staff that remains on salary year round to maintain readiness so that when something happens, we can go. But other than that, it's all volunteer based, and our volunteers are amazing human beings. So if you want to plug into Grindstone, you want to actually be the hands and feet of the Most High, actually make a difference, grindstoneministries.com. Which leads us to Caleb House, which is our counter-trafficking ministry. Right now we are in the midst, we're coming up on the end of our annual restoration fundraiser, which means we have donor matching going on right now. So if the Spirit leads and you want to support a ministry that's actually doing counter-trafficking, that's actually doing rescue, actually doing recovery, actually doing restoration, like not talking about it, not making Instagram posts about it, not having big dinners about it, not having Hollywood produced movies made about a whole bunch of bullshit that we made up about it, but actually doing it, prayerfully consider calebhouse.org. Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. Link is in the description. And right now we have donor matching going on for today and the remaining 4 days through July 20th. So your dollar doubles. For every dollar you donate, a donor has stepped up to match that. And you may be asking, why are you raising funds? Because we're building a restoration facility, and we're specifically raising funds for Care House 2 right now. And each care house as built will be able to house about 6 children per house. We're building a total of 10 houses at the first facility, which will be about 60 kids at any one time. Can rotate through our restoration process, and basically it's putting these kids back together again, because they've been severely traumatized, ritualistically, sadistically abused, and they have a lot of trauma, and reasonably so. They have a lot of trauma, psychotic breaks, and we want to be able to intervene so that they don't traumatize somebody else, and that what they've gone through becomes part of their witness and testimony. They have a story of overcoming by the blood of Messiah, and then their stumbling block becomes their witness. That's like really important to us. Somebody has to put these kiddos back together again. Simple as that. We have generational curses to break. That's what Caleb House does. If you want to learn more about how Caleb House does it, you can go to calebhouse.org. If you'd like to volunteer or in-kind donations of construction materials, email volunteers@calebhouse.org. And if you have any questions, thank you, TGBG Gaming. Thank you for the super chat. If you have any questions that you'd like answered, need to get on the phone with somebody, just email admin@calebhouse.org. Admin at anything we do will, and by the way, this is something that a lot of people don't quite understand. The one common denominator between Bear Independent, Refuge Medical, Caleb House, and Grindstone is me. I'm the one common denominator. I am the founder / president of the board for all of these things. But there are dedicated teams, there are dedicated bank accounts, there's dedicated state, local, and federal filings. They're all dedicated. They're all their own bucket. Okay? I kind of sit above these different buckets, looking into the bucket, helping to manage the people and processes inside of each bucket. And so a lot of times people will call Refuge with a Caleb House question. Call Caleb House. Email Caleb House. They'll email admin at Bear Independent with a Grindstone concern. Email admin at Grindstone Ministries, please. Now we're us, so we will help however we can. We had a Caleb House situation walk through the doors of Refuge 2 days ago, And it was an honor and a blessing to be able to contribute to that situation to begin the restoration process for that individual. But this is Refuge. So if you need Refuge stuff, contact Refuge. If you need Caleb House stuff, contact Caleb House. If you need Grindstone stuff, contact Grindstone. You need Bear Independent stuff, contact Bear Independent, please. We're not, when we started and everything was little, we were institutionally inbred. We were spaghetti. But we worked really hard to de-spaghettify to where everything is in its own bucket. It has its own people. It has its own processes. It has its own social media. It has its own email accounts. It all has its own. And there is and always has been a one-way valve into the nonprofits. Money goes in. It does not come back out again from the nonprofit to the profit side. The nonprofits are nonprofits. They have their own books, their own board of directors, their own bank accounts, et cetera, et cetera. And so, unlike a lot of NGOs, we don't wash funds through our nonprofits. We're 100% supported by y'all. We don't take money from local, state, or federal governments for both Grindstone Ministries and Caleb House. We're completely funded by the Bear Nation, which means there's only two vectors for accountability here: the creator of the universe and y'all. And our 990s are published on the website. If you want to see how we spend our money, just go check our fruit. They're right there on the websites. Go read the 990 reports. We don't take money from anybody who's going to tell us how to do our jobs, because I don't want to be beholden to any politician anywhere. I don't want to be leveraged. But the nonprofit money is the nonprofit money. And because the nonprofit money is nonprofit money, there's nonprofit teams that are separate from Refuge and Bear Independent, and that's done very intentionally. And so if you have a need or you have an interest in Grindstone or Caleb House, please contact grindstoneministries.com or calebhouse.org. Okay? Brother Daniel, bless you. Now, let's pray. Good morning, Father Yahuwah. Father, thank you for allowing us to wake up today. Father, thank you for all the things that we take for granted. Thank you for all the blessings that feel like burdens. Thank you for the pressure of an expectation of being a man or a woman, built, designed, wonderfully and fearfully made in your image to serve you. Father, thank you for meaning and purpose and for the opportunity to be your hands and feet. Father, please keep all of our people in the field safe today. Put them where you need them to be. Give them a covering of physical protection as well as provision, that whatever their needs are, they'd be met instantly for the preservation of life and for your glory, not for ours. That we would be in the best position possible to serve your kingdom and love our neighbors as ourselves. Father, thank you for prospering and blessing all the work that we've put our hand to. And thank you for the just exhaustion that comes from the pursuit of excellence and servitude to you. Thank you that our weariness has purpose.
Yes.
And that we're not simply exhausted from running on the hamster wheel of the world. Father, I pray that you'd minister to all the people within the sound of my voice today, that however they know you, that they would come to know you better. And Father, that if they don't know you, they'd be convicted by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to confess and be washed in the blood of the Lamb for preservation of life eternally. Father, I pray that you'd bring comfort where comfort is needed, that you'd bring healing where healing is needed. Father, we have a brother right now, who's laying in a hospital bed, completely at the mercy of your will, because you put to death and you make alive. And so, Father, I ask, selfishly, with intercession, but Father, also for your glory, that this brother would make a complete restoration and healing, complete miraculously, as a witness
to all the medical professionals, all the staff, a witness to your sovereignty, to make it abundantly clear who's actually in charge, and that the machinations of men will never rise to the level of capability of the creator of the universe. Father, thank you for our daily bread. Thank you for the breath of air in our lungs. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you in meaningful ways. Please minister to your flock today. Pour out your spirit and pour out your blessings on everybody within the sound of my voice. Father, thank you for the blood of the Lamb, that we would have a way to atone and to come home again. Thank you for the Word and the Word made flesh. We love you and we praise you in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Alright. That's the show. Appreciate y'all. I'll see you when I see you. Shalom, everyone.